Either they're going to be running for office or they're going to be setting up the hype of a potential run. Bernie Sanders and AOC. I know everyone, just listen to me very carefully. Oh, Kit, why are you talking about Bernie and AOC? I unfortunately, however which way you feel about it, Bernie Sanders and AOC are bringing in crowds. Now, 4 years ago or 8 years ago, I think a lot of us said like, "Hey, this is good." Okay. And look, there's a lot of things that Bernie Sanders and AOC have said that, yes, I do agree with. However, what I am suspicious about, fearful about, and what I've been proven correct on is this is a way to sheep herd people into the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party doesn't have anyone really to rely on. Okay. The quote unquote Obama, Bill Clinton, Biden, squeaky clean neoliberal politician that's going to make all the vote blue no matter who people say we must fall in line. That era is gone. They're going to try and bring somebody in, but until then, you got to bring up hype. And who are the DNC's front runner people? Well, it's not Nancy. She's too busy looking at her stocks. It's not Chucky Boy Schumer because every liberal hates him. It's not going to be Hakeem Jeffries because he's not charismatic. It's what, Obama, Bill Clinton? Well, their time has passed. It's not going to do anything for them. Biden, he's too senile. Who else is there? Bernie Sanders and AOC. And stuff like this, I'm sorry, stuff like this is how people just once again get sucked in, no pun intended, into the Democrat machine because I think this time, all starting in 2016, oh, what? Here we go for 2028?
Nope. It's not Bernie, it is you.
Yes. Okay. But hold on. It gets even better. It gets even better. It gets even better. It gets even better for tomorrow. Tomorrow. What lies tomorrow? Now, of course, all this hype is surrounding Bernie, okay? All this hype is around him, and I get it. I understand it completely. Truly, I do. But there is the issue, the concern, the idea that somehow this time around things will be different. Now, I'm playing this video, and I'm because I want you guys to be reminded what happened in Coachella, okay? Yes, we did talk about it on yesterday's show, but this also happened, okay? Because this took place at a Bernie Sanders rally. Some anti-genocide people unfurled a Free Palestine flag behind Bernie Sanders at his rally just now, and police thugs arrested them as Bernie Sanders looked on and let it happen without saying a word.
One America in which the wealthiest people, the top 1%, have never, ever had it so good. In America today, we have more income. In America today. In America today,
That was happening at a Bernie Sanders rally as he was quiet Didn't say anything. No, leave him alone. Leave him alone. I mean, hear the crowd. Hear the crowd. There's a lot of people there, Bernie. There's a lot of people there. Let's rewind that again. I didn't want to interrupt. I didn't want to pause. Here we go. Let's just remind a little bit more of that. Here we go.
In America today, in America today, we have more income. In America today. In America today, let me go on to know that this is a sensitive issue, something I am helping leading the ethics.
Oh, he is? Oh, he's leading? Why don't you just say, hey, leave him alone. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. So I'm going to rewind back just a little bit, okay? Because this was at a Bernie Sanders town hall a long time ago, you know? It wasn't too long, but just, I think it's only fair just to share it because, this was Bernie Sanders' response when somebody was challenging him.
You have a situation where
Now, this is not recent. This was a few years ago. This video, a few years ago.
Hamas is sending missiles into Israel. Okay. And you know where some of those missiles are coming from? They're coming from populated areas. That's a fact. Hamas has used money that came into Gaza for construction purposes, and God knows they need roads and all the things that they need, and used some of that money to build these very sophisticated tunnels into Israel for military purposes.
For survival purposes.
Okay, one second.
Yes,
No, I
they're
don't want to be
not.
interrupted. Question was asked, it's a fair question, and I'm trying to. Look, if you don't,
Yes, they did.
you know,
Gaza is
excuse me, shut up. You don't have the
Bernie, take it easy.
microphone. You've asked, I don't want police officers here.
You're gonna arrest people?
No, I'm not going to arrest people, but are you going to allow us, to have a discussion? What do you think?
You come down to here. You're right up there. Come down to be Democrat. So any discussion with people.
You asking for the question?
Occupied populations
Okay,
have the right to resist.
All right. You're entitled to your view. You've asked the question, I'm answering it. This is called democracy.
Let him finish. I would thought you were.
All right, I am answering a question, and I do not want to be disturbed and disrupted.
So that's what's happening, right? But now, just pulling this up here, just so everyone can see it as well. Quick, no one tell Trump about Bernie Sanders and AOC's crowd sizes. I remember a time many years ago when media outlets would not talk about Bernie Sanders and AOC's crowd sizes. Why? It's because corporate media and the vote blue no matter who industrial complex now know that they don't have that pull. You just can't bring out Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton or Barack or Michelle Obama. You can't bring out Nancy or anyone else in the vote blue no matter who sphere because guess what? That brand is sunk. Chucky Boy Schumer, Nancy, anybody else in the DNC establishment, they can't do that. Only Bernie and AOC can, which is why it is a reasonable argument to be made that we are potentially looking up at a controlled opposition movement to bring up those numbers, baby. So let's talk about it just a little bit more here, right? I just want to just share this with you because it's like, there you go. You got these quick no all this. So I want to pull this up here as well because once again, talking about the crowd sizes, From the New Republic, Bernie and AOC are starting a new political movement before our eyes. Ooh la la. Bernie Sanders seemed genuinely impressed by the size of his Los Angeles rallies this weekend. Unbelievable, he declared upon reaching the microphone. There are people half a mile away. Moments later, he claimed 36,000 people were gathered before him, which constituted the largest rally that we've ever had. Bigger than one he probably had in New York City back in 2020. If I were forced to paint with a broad brush at least 36,000 people, a broad brush would be the instrument of choice. I'd say the crowd was a coalition of aging hippies, entertainment industry millennials. It was a massive crowd, to be sure, but nobody in the throng surprised me by their presence. I did manage to find one woman who voted for Donald Trump in 2016 before voting for Biden in 2020 prior to the rally. She confessed to me, "I'm so thankful Bernie is doing this kind of thing." Here we go again. Here we go again. This was a message I heard repeatedly from attendees. Those gathered were hoping for hope itself, and hope is the first path to disappointment. Listen, guys, I'm all for the power of prayer, meditation, or manifesting. I get it, but guess what? In order to make things happen, in order to push forward a dream, you got to get on your two legs and go forward, okay? It's all about building up the spirit, but here's the thing. Physical actions and deeds must take place. Oh. Noah, a 28-year-old software engineer, told me that while waiting in line, I'm hoping for some answers about how to stay encouraged. I'm hoping this is a positive day and add some clarity to the situation. Moments later, his friend Amir chimed in, hope has to be cultivated, kind of. And so I think this is, I don't know, maybe therapy. I'm all for therapy. Trust me on it, man. Speaking to a therapist is great. Talking about therapy and politics are very bad bedfellows, okay? It's going to be very, very, very rough on the soul. There were plenty of therapeutic aspects to the rally, like Jonah Baez crooning Imagine, or Neil Young, Maggie Rogers, or Baez singing Keep on Rocking in the Free World. But aside Sanders' promise that we're going to make our revolution with joy, we're going to sing and dance our way to victory. It was hard to characterize the crowd as hopeful, much less joyful. Nevertheless, there was a determination amongst these 36,000 people. A 32-year-old screenwriter named Brett told me, the only way I know how to go on is to hope and believe. And certainly it won't happen if we don't come here and try to work together and listen to each other. Listen, I remember what happened with Bernie Sanders. 2016, 2020, he cucked out twice. If he does try and run, he'll be in his 80s, late 80s. He'll be just like Biden. Matter of fact, I dread to say it, maybe worse. Okay? And AOC and Bernie running as a ticket, that would have been maybe good in 2020. And I'm being generous here, if that was the plan. But that didn't happen. Bernie Sanders had a real moment, lightning in the bottle, in 2016. I remember when I interviewed Jimmy Dore, my first interview with him, way back at the People's Summit here in Chicago at McCormick Place. Biggest interview I did at the time for Hard Lens Media. And we all had this audacity and thinking that Bernie was going to do it. And when confronted, when talked about it at McCormick Place in Chicago, Bernie Sanders dismissed everyone, screaming out, you got cheated. Hope in one hand, crap in the other. See which one fills up faster. And yes, while it's great seeing this crowd happen, you know what I'm seeing to all these lemmings, these potential lemmings? You're going to get suckered in. You're going to get tricked. And going through this whole article, yeah, everyone's bringing about Elon Musk. Everyone's going to bring out the same thing over and over again. Everyone's afraid about Trump and all of this stuff. Everything that's happened. Guess what's going to happen? Bernie Sanders and AOC, as soon as they get enough momentum, as soon as they get a phone call from their higher-ups, they're going to say, hey, everyone, we got to vote Democrat. Vote blue, no matter who. And I understand that there are people who have larger social media platforms who are saying, if you're not on board with Bernie and AOC, you're part of the problem. No, it's not being part of the problem. It is addressing the problem with Bernie. He builds up this hype. He builds up this momentum. He builds up all this jazz. And then guess what happens? He sells out to the Democrats. When we asked AOC to do Forced to Vote and March for Medicare for All, radio silence. Same thing for her and all of our other fantastic friends, those 15 congressmen and women who are on the Forced to Vote petition. We got nothing. But I understand hope. But the thing about hope It was the last essence in Pandora's box. When Pandora's box was opened and all the great evils in the world came out, hope was the last thing to fly out. But see, hope is what should motivate you to do something. I understand going to Bernie Sanders or AOC and listening to them speak. I get it. But look at their actions. They've always led back to the Democrat Party. Be careful what you lie your hope in.
If you fool me once, it's because I didn't think a guard was needed. If you fool me twice, it's because I didn't learn the lesson, so it bears repeating. If you try the same play 3 times running, it's because you know what's coming, and you didn't come to lead, you came to purposefully be misleading. Democracy is dry, it's been a century bleeding. The husk is gaping open to the sky, out in the field where all the sheep just keep on circling and worrying and bleeding. They're waiting for the shepherd that they've tried to hide their faith in, but he's so appealing. They'd gladly give their fleece. It's such a freeing feeling that even when he leads them to the ledge and starts to urge them on, they're positively beaming. They were told that they were on their way to save democracy, so even as they plummet, they just gloat. They don't consider screaming. And halfway up the cliff, the shepherd's cozy little mittens wrap around the staff of shattered human hopes on which he's leaning. He shows the gentle grin that used to stir your inner spark, and he says, "Not me, us," as he gestures to the oligarchs. He knows that if he runs, they're going to stop him like a stolen car. And he'll easily surrender because it bought a lot of time for laying mines in all the grassroots. Suddenly, the tiniest of movements gets you blown apart. Suddenly, you're in a play that's set on an election day and voting for the fire, unaware you're playing Joan of Arc. Suddenly, the shepherd pulls the rug and slips a hood across your clueless mug, and everything goes zero dark. I'm gonna warn you once more before it's 2024 and you fuck around and find out who your heroes are. To take a step back from the herd, and you'll learn that you can spot who all the shearers are. If you really want to know the product that they're selling, I can take you where the mirrors are. If you think your voice is finally ready, I can tell you where the lyrics are. I hid them in a box I had to bury neath the cobble when they carpet bombed the promenade and raided all the street bazaars. Now all we've got's the marketplace, and you're too broke to even bother asking what the options for your treatment are. Suddenly, the raw debris of homeless human dignity will find it has 100 teeth for every badge and sweeper's arm. Suddenly, they speak in solidarity and each is armed. Suddenly, the sheep can see the shepherd for his truest form and all pitch in at once to help him buy the farm. And now it's zero dark, and all is calm and peaceful save the distant wail of sirens that approach beside the flames of dawn. Suddenly, the carrot's just a string that's on a stick, and all your movements make you sick because the prize is gone. Now we could go and flee into the forest low and meek, or we can exercise our right to feast and go and graze on Biden's lawn. Because he's been sowing seeds that seep a toxin out to sap a bit from each of us and keep on leaching decades after Biden's gone. So regardless who they summon out of hell to come and do the job, it will not feel like Biden's gone. But in that time of hopelessness, you cannot trust the shepherd when he once again comes asking you to humor him his siren song. And it's cute that you can innocently, honestly assume that's just a symptom of a system that was wired wrong, and not the standard feature, basic function, primary objective of a mass hypnosis firebomb. You don't need to know the words to cry along. Someday it'll hit you like an officer who pistol whipped their ride along. Broke his jaw and kept his job and kept it moving right along. That voting isn't red or blue or black or white or right or wrong. Voting's like a firing squad where you can choose the firearm. It's slow extinction by and large. It's Super Tuesday supercharged. It's all your futures, roots and all, just tossed out on a garbage barge. It's everybody dropping out to push the biggest oligarch. It's everybody voting fire, registered as Joan of Arc.